Hello, runners, and welcome back to the Scotiabank Toronto Waterfront Marathon Virtual Speaker Series. My name is Kate Van Buskirk, and today I am chatting with one of my dearest friends and inspirations, Mr. Evan Dunfee. Evan is arguably Canada's greatest ever race walker. He holds multiple Canadian records. He's a two-time Olympian, a world championship medalist, and just a few weeks ago, he added yet another shiny item to his ever-growing collection when he won the bronze medal in a 50K race walk at the Tokyo Olympic Games. He is also a proud ambassador for kids sport. Evan, it's always a pleasure to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great, Kate. Thanks for having me on. Thanks. Nice to see you. Yeah, so glad that we could do this.
Me as well. I'm wondering if you got out for a walk or a run today on this day of recording. It's Turkey Day. It's Thanksgiving in Canada.
Yeah, so coming off 3 straight Thanksgiving dinners, I had the turkey trot this morning out in Vancouver. So went out there and tested the legs over 10K, see how things are feeling, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Came away with a 43.5-minute 10K. It's actually my fastest 10K in 3 attempts at the turkey trot, so I will happily take that, and it bodes well for the weekend coming up for sure.
I love like turkey trots or Santa Claus trots or any of those things because they're supposed to be so low key, but inevitably I find that always there's like a few people that show up and take them really seriously. And so I find that like they're often, like you said, good prep, races or training runs, training walks for bigger things to come, but they can get pretty competitive. So I'm glad it went well for you today.
Iñaki, former Olympian and friend of ours, race walker as well. He was out running it, and he was saying he was running with a friend, and he kind of at one point like held back because he thought his friend was going to drop off, and waited for him, and we're just running together, and then his friend dipped him on the line.
So he was running, not walking?
Yes, yeah. So he's running. He ran 36:03, I think. So
wow.
Getting that dad bod into into shape for sure. So no, it was great to see everyone. I love doing these events. I'm so happy they're back in person because, for me, it's great because a lot of the elite runners, they're at the front and the gun goes and that's the last you see of them, unless you're on an out and back course and then you see them coming the other way. But, because I'm a little bit slower, I get to kind of be in the thick of it and around some other runners, which is really, really cool. And, the cherry on top is always hearing from athletes who say, oh, I saw you in front of me and I really didn't want to like lose to the race walker. And you pushed me to a PB today. And I had a couple of those, heard a couple of those this morning. And so that's always just the best thing ever to hear.
I'm glad you can find some joy in that. I'm not sure ever if that's kind of an insulting thing for a race walker to hear, or if it's motivating, and it sounds like it's motivating for you, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's more motivating to them, I think. But that's the aim of the game, right? Get more people moving, and if that's what does it, then fantastic.
Well, Evan, there are many things about you that encourage other people to get moving. And one of them, of course, is the fact that you're such a tremendous role model, both on and off the race course. And I want to talk about on first, because holy smokes, did you have a year? Evan, finished the 50K race walk in Sapporo, not Tokyo, which is where the event was being held this year, due apparently to wanting to have some cooler weather. Although we'll get into that because I don't think it was necessarily cool on race day. But I'd love if you could start just by breaking down what this Olympic experience was for you. I know it was a huge feather in your cap coming off of Rio, where you were 4th place and it was highly contested. And there was a lot of controversy back and forth about, you were a temporary bronze medalist and then it was sort of taken away. Maybe to start with, we could go into what your goals were going into this Olympics.
Absolutely. So the goals have been very similar the last couple of years now. So coming off of Rio, when honestly the goal in Rio was just to go out there and leave it on the race course. And I wasn't expected to be a medalist. I wasn't expected to be in the top 10. And so for me, it was very personal, like, let's just see what I can do. And then coming so close to that medal, the next couple of years were spent being like, all right, well, I need to win a medal. Like that needs to be the goal now. And that went absolutely terribly at the next couple of world championships. And it was just not a good way to think about things, because the second those medals became out of reach, my body just gave up on me and didn't allow me to get the best out of myself, when maybe I could have held on for 5th or 6th or still these really good results. I faded back. And so heading into World Championships 2019, I was kind of like sick of that. And I was sick of screwing up these 50K races. So the goal was very simply just beat the distance, race the distance, and beat the 50K. And I think for a lot of marathon runners, that's a relatable goal of like, okay, I want to conquer this distance. And that was kind of primary focus number one. And I knew if I did that, then my body was fit enough and I was in good enough shape that I'd get a really good result. But there was never really the thought of I'm going to go out there, I'm going to win a medal. It was, I'm going to conquer this distance and that'll put me in a really good spot to be fighting for a medal, I bet. And sure enough, in Doha in 2019 and in Tokyo this summer, it was, almost not enough. It came down in both races to that final kilometer and needed to find that extra gear. And I was really nervous heading into that last couple K in Sapporo because my body had kept telling me for the last 30K that extra gear wasn't there. And every time I tried to pick it up, my body was kind of like, nope, this is all you got. And I just kept asking it. I was that pestering little kid. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I just kept saying, do we have one more gear? And body would say no. And I go, all right, we'll check in a couple minutes, I guess. And with that 1K to go, asked one more time if we had that gear. And sure enough, my body kind of just let me go into it and was able to, knock down that 22-second gap. And somehow I still don't really know how, but come away with that bronze medal. And, it wasn't the sports psych's gold standard in terms of they tell you everything has to be positive self-talk. I can do this, I can do this. And going through my head that last kilometer was simply just don't come forth, don't come forth, don't come forth. And so, you don't always have to be motivated by positive self-talk. There is a time and a place there you can really get that fire burning different ways. I wouldn't have advised using that the whole 50 kilometers, but it allowed me to tap into something given the circumstances that you're talking about with Rio. It was a motivating factor for sure.
I was going to ask about that. It was such a dramatic last couple of kilometers. And those of us at home watching it, we didn't get the opportunity to see it because, of course, the camera is going back and forth between the front of the pack and then you, and then the front of the pack and you. And, those of us at home, we're tracking your splits and we're kind of seeing where things are. And I don't mean this with disrespect, but I think that for a lot of us, there came a point where we thought, oh my God, another fourth for Evan. And that was, what a tremendous accomplishment. To call yourself a two-time fourth place Olympian would have been remarkable. But it's interesting hearing you talk through kind of the psychology, because I think, like you said, it is so relatable for so many people. And the goal is different, right? Like it's not always a medal. It's not even always a personal best. Sometimes it's just getting the most out of yourself on the day, and how we get there is more important than the outcome often. So it's interesting hearing that approach, because again, like it would have been so easy, I'm sure, in some ways to say, this is the cards I've been dealt. This is my lot today. Mm-hmm. And in some ways accepted that because we're all in pain in that in those moments, and we've put a lot into it. But was there anything else that you were able to kind of dig into or muster to kind of draw you across that? 22 seconds is a significant gap to make up.
And it was, at 48K, it was 18 seconds. So even it wasn't like this big gap was coming back. Like up until from 48 to 49, he extended his lead by 4 more seconds. So I was kind of ignorant to all of that. I knew he was ahead of me, and what it really came down to was just that last kilometer, telling myself like no regrets. Like my hamstring had been really bugging me and had been kind of holding me back earlier. And at that point in the race, I just thought, what, this is the last 50K. It's been taken out of the Olympics after this one, and I just kind of figured, even if my hamstring blows up and tears itself to shreds, I'm going to get to that finish line now. So just leave every ounce you have on the table and get across that finish line, knowing you did everything. And I don't think I was telling myself that was going to be good enough for third. It was just, don't live with that, like, what if. And then sure enough, coming around the bend with like 500 meters to go, it was kind of like, oh, he's like right there. Like, the benefit of the out and back course, you can tell, come around the corner, I could see where he was. I could see his face. I could see that he was surprised at how close I was. And that kind of just like, oh, wow. Okay. No, I can do this. And But, I think you touched on something great there about that, the goal being about that process. And I do think, like, I set outcome focused goals. My goals are to win gold medals and get on that podium. And, I want to be the best in the world. But my success towards that goal is not measured by whether or not I achieve that outcome. That's the goal, but success is derived from getting up every morning and working towards that goal. And if I did that, if I know that I put myself in every position to try to achieve that goal, then I'm successful, not whether or not I actually get there in the end. And I think that's a big distinction. I think a lot of people get scared away from thinking, oh, I can't set time goals, or I can't set place goals, or anything like that. And I think those are totally appropriate and very motivating for a lot of people. But the key factor is not hinging your success on whether or not you achieve that. It's defining your success by that process. And I think that's an important kind of, it's a little bit kind of hard to sort of flush out, but I think once you can kind of wrap your head around that idea, then the goal setting aspect of it becomes a lot easier for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's great, Evan. And from what I'm hearing, I mean, that in many ways is what actually led to your success in a sort of ironic way, was taking away some of the focus on the outcome actually led to a greater outcome, which we hear that from athletes all the time. And I find that so fascinating, especially from a sports psychology perspective, of when you take away just the singular focus on that, whether it be, again, a finishing time, your BQ, your PB, your medal, all of a sudden, when you're just back in the process, it actually allows you to achieve it in a way you couldn't have when your focus was so, focused in a way.
Yeah. Oh, and growing up, like I was solely focused on winning. I was solely focused on success being defined by the outcome, because I got into sport because I was the shortest kid in the class with the red curly hair and the big thick glasses, and I was the nerdy quintessential kid that got picked on, and I wanted to prove myself. So winning at sports was the way to prove yourself, and that was how I defined success. And I carried that with me for a really long time in my career. And yeah, it helped me out at a certain point when I was quite young, and still wasn't the ideal mindset to have, but it wasn't detrimental until it was detrimental. And it was awful, especially when you're training, endurance sports, you train a lot. You're out there, for me, it was a couple times a day. And when every single workout becomes a success or failure, and every successful workout is, oh, I'm going to be invincible, I'm going to break world records, and every unsuccessful workout is like, why am I doing this? I should quit. That emotional roller coaster it's unsustainable, but it's also miserable. So really switching to that kind of more seeing the forest for the trees and that process, it's allowed me to be so much happier in training and allow me to enjoy even those bad workouts, could enjoy those and find something positive in them, and not hinge my future success on the outcome of that one workout. And, as you say, like, that made me such a better athlete, these last number of years. So it is funny how that works, of that mindset switch can actually have, way better outcomes from training and from racing.
That's awesome, Evan. I want to come back to a few of those things, but we are approaching a 10K. We're approaching a 10K Canadian National Championships, and also an in-person 10K race along the Toronto Lakeshore, which is going to be so exciting for all of our athletes who are competing this coming weekend. Now, I have to point out the obvious here, but you are a 50K specialist, but you are also the 10K record holder in the race block, and you are competing in the 10K this weekend. These are vastly different events. And I would hazard a guess that a 50K or a 10K rather feels a little bit like a sprint compared to the event that you normally train for. I'm wondering, first of all, is there one that you prefer more than the other, or do they hurt the same but differently?
I mean, I think 10s are fun. Like, so our Olympic distances this year and in the past have been 20K and 50K. And I love the 50K. I'm a big 50K specialist. The 20K I find is just this weird combination of, it's a sprint, but it's a 20K sprint. And like the 10K is like a short sprint in my mind. And so I like the 10K, I like the 50K, and I don't like the 20K. And I laugh about it because to me, the 10K is just this event where you don't have to think at all. You just go out there, and it's just like, 40 minutes of just go as fast as you can for 40 minutes, and you don't have to think about anything, which is crazy. I did a talk with Mohamed and Marco Arop last week, and we were talking about that. My event's 3 hours and 50 minutes, and I have all this time to think. And Marco's event's 100 seconds, and he's like, I have all those same thoughts, but they're condensed into 100 seconds. And it's so funny, like thinking of a 10K in my mind. Me thinking of 10K is like these guys, thinking about a 400 meters or an 800 meters, of how, like, to me it's automatic. It's like, oh yeah, you don't have to think; it just happens. And it's so funny, like, to me, the endurance athletes that see these still admittedly long distances for a lot of people, and they're like, oh no, this is a sprint. I don't even know what to think about. It's happened so quickly. So I'm excited. I like the 10Ks. I think they're kind of really good tests. Race walking being way lower impact than running, 10Ks are something that you can like bounce back from really, really quickly. So I use them a lot in training as like hard tempos and that stuff. So there's a lot of like really hard 10Ks in my training, which I really enjoy, because it gives me a lot of benchmarks to compare myself to and see where I'm at. So the last few years, about a month and a half out of our major 50K races, I've done all out 10K as kind of my benchmark. Where's my fitness at? And in 2016, broke the Canadian record for the first time, and then obviously went on to finish fourth in Rio. And in 2019, broke that time, and then went on to win that bronze medal in Doha. And then this year broke that time again. So it's a really good benchmark for me to kind of measure my fitness and see where things are at for those longer distances.
And this feels like an appropriate time to mention that Evan walks 10 kilometers in 38 minutes and 39 seconds. That is his 10,000 meter personal best and national record in that event, which is just absolutely extraordinary. So it's so interesting for me as a middle distance runner to hear you talk about the difference between, your 50K, your 20K, your 10K, all these different approaches. And I appreciate you putting it in sort of middle distance terms, because it's something I can understand a little bit better. But many of our audience are coming from the longer distance. Many of them are marathoners who might be approaching a hard 10K and just probably very happy to have that opportunity on the calendar this year. And I think, there's probably some questions for you about how you, as a longer distance event person, approaches both the training and the preparation and the race itself when it comes down to moving down in distance to something like the 10. So I'm wondering if maybe you could, the training's done at this point, but as we approach the 10K this weekend, what are some of the best pieces of advice you could give for our marathoners or even our half marathoners who see a hard, fast 10K as a totally different kind of and possibly difficult challenge?
Yeah, I'm not so sure if this is advice, but just even an anecdote of every time I've broken my, the 10,000 meter race walking record, it's been off of 50K training. It's been the first time I did it actually was with a 40K in the morning, and then a 10K race in the afternoon. And pretty much every single one of those races has been even split. It's just been like, go out hard, know that my endurance is there, and just, I'm not going to be that person who's going to be kicking down, making up 20 seconds in the last K, but I'm going to, hold those splits really, really evenly because I have the endurance in me. So, I think one piece of advice I would say is that if you're coming into this off of half marathon or marathon training and you're worried, just, don't fret. Like it's, there's nothing to say that you can't put in a really, really good 10K effort. And I would just say, like, making sure you get out there hard earlier on and settling into that tempo pace, pretty quickly, and then just allowing your body to just hit that rhythm and tick off those Ks. And before you know it, you're like halfway done, and it's downhill from there.
I had that experience this summer, focusing so much on the 5,000 and doing over distance training for most of my year, and then finishing off my competitive season with a road mile. And it went by so fast, and I was shocked. And in fact, if I could go back and change anything, I would have been a little more aggressive, because I think when we are used to racing longer distances, we're so concerned about being a little more conservative and holding back a touch because you don't want to overdo it. I'm not sure if you've had that experience moving from something like the 50 down to the 10 or the 20, but I certainly found that myself this summer, that it was good to keep in mind that it's going to hurt differently, but it's over a lot quicker.
Exactly. Yeah. You can, it's not the damage. Going out too hard is not the damage it is in a marathon. You go out too hard and you might cost yourself 10 seconds or 15 seconds in the end, but you're not costing yourself minutes and minutes and minutes.
Yeah, you're hurting for a lot shorter time, which is nice. So let's talk about the actual race day. So you're approaching this 10K national championships. You're going to race walk it. And again, we've talked about the fact that your record is a whopping 38:39. Is it at all within your realm of desire or possibility, do you think, on Sunday to break that record?
Not one bit. That was, probably the fittest I've ever been a month out from the Olympic Games. I'm now 2 months on from the Olympic Games, and about 6 weeks of that was spent doing no training at all. So we are very much getting back into things, but I have a lot on the line in this race. To me, this is possibly as important as the Olympic Games. I'm racing my brother, Adam, and he's going to run it. I'm going to walk it. And if you know our family at all, the competitive juices flow very heavily. So there will be a lot of pride on the line. And I'm really looking forward to it. He's been training really well throughout the pandemic, and he's gotten into really good shape. So I'm a little bit worried, but I'm hoping to build on my 43.5 from last weekend, and just kind of, see if I can get under 43 minutes, get into the 42s, and give Adam a run for his money, or a walk for his money, I guess, and see where we go from there. So I'm excited knowing that I'm operating at 85%, but I'm hoping to get 100% out of that 85% that I'm at.
I think anyone with siblings can appreciate the kind of competitive juices that flow in an unparalleled way when you are competing against your brother or your sister. So that's really exciting. What if I hope Adam's okay with us asking this question. Do you know what Adam's personal best is in the 10,000?
He's done he did a 5K on the track last year by himself in like 19 minutes, just under 19 minutes. His math isn't a strong point, so he ended up doing 5.1K because he forgot where the 5K start line was. But yeah, he's got some speed to him, and he's been running he's been hitting 20 plus K in training. So he's got some good aerobic base there as well. So, I could see him going close to 40 minutes. But my hope is that he's a little scared of going out too fast, and I can keep him close. And then maybe in those last few K, have a shot at taking him down.
Well, hopefully he's not watching this. You're giving away all the secrets here, but we appreciate that. Yeah. What's on the line other than pride? Is there anything else? Have you guys come up with any fun bets or anything?
Not yet. I think that'll be TBD once I get there, and we can sort it out. Maybe, I'm not too sure. I don't know if I can divulge too much of that until after the race potentially, but we'll come up with something good for sure.
That's fair, and that's a good teaser. Whatever you have planned, I'm sure our audience and fellow runners will be curious to hear.
He's had his eyes on the craft dinner macaroni medal that I have. So I'm not sure. I only have one of those. So I'm not sure if I want to part with it, but we'll see how the week goes. And if I'm feeling confident, I'll maybe put that up against it.
Wow, big talk from Mr. Evan Dunfee. All right, because you brought it up, we have to mention it quickly. Of course, you've partnered with Craft Dinner Canada. Is that correct? Craft Dinner Canada?
Yeah.
Okay. And I have to ask what your favorite type of KD is.
I'm a traditionalist. I just give me the original, some ketchup on there, cut up hot dogs on the side. I like it simple, like I had it in my childhood, right? That's why I eat KD, is just to have those childhood memories come flowing back, and those times being a poor university student and being able to get dinner for $1.50 was perfect. So they got all these flavor boosts and different things for different strokes for different folks. But I'll take the original any day of the week.
Definitely a delicious way to carb load, whether it's for a 50K race walk or a marathon or anything in between. I know I've enjoyed quite a bit of KD over the last several weeks in seeing your partnership with them. Speaking of partnerships, Evan, I want to come back to our original conversation about the Olympics and their impact. I think it's really beautiful that you talked so much about setting goals and seeking the joy in the journey rather than the destination. But of course, we can't deny the fact that being an Olympic medalist is a pretty fantastic destination. I'm wondering if you can tell us what it means to you to now call yourself an Olympic medalist. And that's kind of a two-parter, because I'm curious about what it means to you personally, and then also what it means to you as an ambassador for your communities.
I think those are completely intertwined. There's, what it means to me what it means to me personally is what it will allow me to do in my community. They're so attached that it would be, impossible to kind of part and parcel those things out, because, I think the biggest thing for me, I think the thing that immediately crossed my mind was, okay, I now have this tangible item that I can take to the schools and show the kids. And, the amount of times that I would go into school talks, and I've talked to 12,000 kids and shared my story and shared my journey and shared the lessons that I've learned through sport. And especially the younger kids, you kind of go through that, and it's great, but it's hard to it's really hard to drive home some of those points. And you still get those questions at the end though, did you bring your medal? And dang, something got missed along the way there. And so now to be able to have that thing they can put in their hands, and if they don't take anything else away, they're taking the weight of that medal away with them. And that is something that's, tactile and tangible, and it will just help connect with more kids and hopefully drive home the story a little bit more. So, that for me is the biggest thing. It's already completely scuffed up and had so many fingerprints on it and stuff like that, which I love. I mean, I think the worst thing to do with them, the worst medal is a medal that is in pristine shape, in my opinion. So it's been a blast. It's been so cool. And from a personal standpoint, it's great. It's this vindication of what I've been working towards every day since I was 10 years old. And but it's I haven't really, I don't know, that's cool. And I think about that sometimes, like, oh yeah, cool, I did that. But more often than not, it's thinking about what this will do in my community. And moving forward in my career, that's kind of the deciding factor on anything I do now. It's like, as long as I'm creating value in my community, that's what I want to be doing. And this really helps that. So it's pretty cool. Like, it's little things as well, like Kraft Dinner donated 35,000 boxes of Kraft Dinner to the Richmond Food Bank after my race for, this idea that me walking in circles for 4 hours can have that kind of impact is wild to me. So, this medal just helps me create more value and do more in my community, which is so much fun.
That's really awesome, Evan. We're really grateful for your contribution to kids sport and to your local communities, all the different charities and partners that you have. And I think this is a good time to plug as well that, of course, anyone who is competing virtually or in person can continue to raise funds for the Scotiabank Charity Challenge, which has raised so much money and contributed in so many meaningful ways to partners and charities across our country. You can visit TorontoWaterfrontMarathon.com to learn more about the Scotiabank Charity Challenge, which of course is ongoing, and you can continue to contribute to that. Evan, how can folks learn more about you and about your partners?
Twitter and Instagram are probably my best social channels. I'm, very slowly working on updating a website, but I would say that, I'm super approachable on both Twitter and Instagram, so long as I'm not ranting about something, which Kate, all too well. But no, happy to keep the conversation going. Anyone has questions, anyone wants to just chat or anything like that, it's love to do that. So, and for people who are maybe looking for fun ways to get involved in the charity challenge, maybe find a friend, bet on who's going to win between Adam and I, and have all the proceeds go to the charity challenge. That would be a great way to do it.
I love that plug. And of course, you can tune into the live broadcast on ACTV and on YouTube. Follow Canada Running Series for more information about that for this weekend's showdown of the Dunfee brothers. Adam and Evan, we can't wait to watch it. I'm going to have to wish you good luck because I'm seeing you in person now. I know Adam as well, but good luck this weekend, Evan. We wish you the very best. And have some KD after. Enjoy.
Yeah, thank you so much. And good luck to everyone who's going to be running, walking. Have fun out there as well.